I feel very lucky and blessed to have been a part of it. And I'm excited to see, where it takes my career, man. I'm really hopefully not back to teaching.
How to survive the classroom.
Hey, teacher besties. I am so excited to share with you that my book, They Never Taught Us That, is available right now. It is everything an experienced or first-year teacher needs to manage the chaos of a modern classroom, including some anecdotes to make you feel a little bit better, because if there is a way that you can screw up, I've probably done it. It also has advice on how to build trust with families, how to manage grading and lesson plans and IEPs, and everything else that they never went over in your teacher prep program. They Never Taught Us That is available everywhere right now. Hey, teacher besties. Welcome to How to Survive the Classroom. I am Andrea Forkham.
And I'm Jerry Patoka.
And today we have the very funny comedian Winston Hodges with us. What's up, Winston?
What's up? Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
This is very exciting for me because I, like probably a lot of people, discovered you on the Netflix show Funny AF with Kevin Hart, which was an absolute treat. And also, I have to be really careful when I say your name because, as you pointed out in your set, that Winston is the name that is very commonly used to name people's English bulldogs.
Yeah.
And I got an English bulldog puppy about 12 weeks ago, and we named him Winston. And
Wow.
So normally when I say Winston, it's usually Winston. So I'm going to really try and curb that because I don't feel like that's probably the vibe that we're going for here today.
Yeah. We don't. Yeah, I don't know if we want that type of ASMR on the podcast.
Yeah. And I was especially excited because I found out that you were also a teacher for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you share a little bit about like how long you taught and what you taught and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I worked in education for about 4 years. I worked at a school for autism. I worked in the program I was in. Most of our kids were grade level, but they were ages 8 to 22. So I had an elementary, a middle, and then a high school and a postgraduate group. And we had basically grade level students that were had some behavioral issues. We were kind of the last stop at the school before they would get hopefully reintegrated into a typically developing program.
Gotcha. So were you guys self-contained? Is that kind of how that worked? Or was it like same campus or?
Yeah, so the whole school was every individual in the school did have autism, and then there was like 9 programs. And so for the first few years we were on the same campus, but we were in a different building. And then towards the end of my time there, they opened a brand new huge building, and they moved all the programs into like one main campus. But they were all pretty self-contained. Like we would get to see other kids at recess or like other groups or trips and stuff like that. But our day to day in the role of education, we were kind of like we were in our own little space.
Gotcha. Okay. And what state was that in? You don't obviously have to tell us the school district or any of that.
Virginia. Yeah, I taught in Virginia. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very cool. And you decided you weren't bullied enough as a teacher, so you then decided to go into stand-up?
No, I was lucky. I was doing stand-up and then needed a job. And luckily, no one wants to teach. So they were welcoming literally anybody into this school with I had no teaching degree. So I was like, the way the thing would work is there would be, because it was a private school, so you could just be in the process of getting a degree. But we had like lead teachers that did have their degree, and then all of us kind of underneath it doing the more one-on-one stuff with the kids.
Gotcha.
But luckily, I didn't have to. They kept pressuring me to go to school, and then I eventually was like, I quit.
So wait, you taught special education at the school for 4 years, and you never even started the process of doing the program or anything?
No, not at all. Because I kept thinking comedy was going to work out, and then I kept pushing it off, and I was doing so much stand up at night that we would do some development stuff, but they kept offering like, hey, we pay for the school, and you go, and you could make more money, and then like it was like the military where you would like they would pay for your school, and then you owed them like the 2 years as a lead teacher there. And then I just kept putting it off. And then I gave myself a time frame where I was like, if comedy doesn't work out by 2022, I think I'm gonna just go back to school and do comedy for fun. And then COVID hit, and I was like, I gotta get the hell out of here, man. It's go-
Yeah. Okay, so that's when you left the classroom was in during the pandemic or like right after?
yeah, I left October of 2020 is when
Okay.
I left. So we
Gotcha.
had gone remote, and so when we went to remote, I started teach. I moved to DC, and I was like, oh, I'll just teach remote. I was like, COVID's going to last a long time, so I'll be able to build up. I was able to make remote, and then they called us back like a month into it, and
Oh my
because the
gosh.
parents were like, yo, we can't work with our kids. It's like you
Yeah.
gotta, we have to get these kids back in quick. And so I commuted from DC for a few months, and then I kind of I gave like my notice, and then I just stayed there for like a couple weeks just so I could say goodbye to all the kids, and then it was like, all right, well, I guess I'm full time comedy. Sure hope the world opens back up and I don't go broke uh,
Yeah. Which
before
is like
that.
a gnarly time to try and do comedy because
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't go in groups anywhere, and the whole thing with comedy
no,
is it's kinda nice to have a group. Like
yeah, you kind of need people. You don't want the. It's the exact opposite of teaching. You really want the comedian to audience ratio to be really high. You don't want it
yes.
to
Yeah.
be.
All right, guys. I don't know if you're watching this on YouTube, you maybe see that now all of a sudden my camera looks different. I am having some technical issues. But before I got spontaneously ejected from the podcast, I wanted to hear about any of the crazy stories that you might have, Winston, from when you were still in the classroom. Anything, not that kids would ever be
Yeah,
disrespectful
yeah.
or defiant or cause issues, but just in the off chance you might have one of those.
Yeah, man, it was, every day. So I don't it's just every day, man, because the kids I work with, man, I loved them to death. I miss them. I do miss them a lot, because they were fun, but it was the type of school where it would be like kids would freak out on you one day, and then the next day, it would be clean slate. They wouldn't even remember. So I've been called every slur possible, even the ones that do have never been directed at someone that looks like me before. So that was,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, like we've had a bunch of crazy stuff, man. It's like kids getting physical, being out in the community, and kids like attempting to get physical with people that weren't staff, and then you had to be
Yeah.
like holding a kid back while handing out business cards that let people know, like, "Hey, I'm allowed to be touching this child right now." Like, I'm just like, like it's just because it just looked insane. Because it would just be like
Yeah.
me and like we're doing like safety restraints on a kid who's trying to run into traffic, and they're just like, "Leave that kid alone," and we're like, "Take the damn card, call this number." I swear to God, what I'm doing right now is much more preferable to what this kid would be doing to you if you didn't get out of his damn way. But yeah, man, a lot of cursing, a lot of desks getting flipped. I was pretty good at the thing that I was the best at. Wasn't teaching. It was I'm really good at crisis de-escalation. Apparently, was the thing that I would. So I would be working with kids, and then if a kid, for lack of a better term, popped off, I would get brought in like a negotiator to come in and try to get to the bottom of why they were acting this way and what was going on. So there's countless times where like I'm just like in the room being like, all right, Timothy. It's like what do I gotta do to get you to put down the microwave? What like, what do we gotta do? You know what I mean? Like, I get it, neither one of us like your parents. I totally understand that you're doing it. But, like, help me help you. Do you need a helicopter with a van full of gas? Do we need to just whatever you do, do not hit me with that microwave. But, yeah, it would be stuff like that every single day. And then other stuff that's less funny and more, like, sad that it's like, I don't really wanna talk about, but, like, that it would be
Yeah.
constant crisis every single day, and it would pop up some days more than others where we would be like, "Oh, it's a full moon. We think it's gonna be
Oh,
we
man.
think it's we be tracking the stars to see if it was gonna be wild or
I
not.
never
That
got down
is
with the full moon stuff until I started teaching. I'm like, "Nah, man, they, like, start crawling on the walls like that movie
Yeah, dude, they're
Legion." Like, they
feral.
they
Yeah,
start
yeah.
they're feral, dude. Their heads turning around, doing a full 360 spin.
It's so bad. So what is like the largest item that was ever thrown in your classroom or at you while you were at that
I've had a
school?
globe thrown at me. Desks are easy, so it's hard, I feel like
Yeah.
outside of desks being flipped, which those would go I'd be in the class every day, and I would feel like at least once a week, there's people flipping tables like they just got cheated out of a game of Monopoly, you know what I mean? Like, it is like table
Yeah.
flip immediate. But yeah, textbooks, globes, I've been hit with a globe.
Ugh.
Yeah, that it's so funny because you'd get such a because my school was a 46-week-a-year school, and so we didn't have summer breaks, and we didn't really have full winter breaks or anything like that, so you were just you were with these kids all year long, and because it was 8 to 22, there were some kids that I was with the entire 4 years I was there, every day in there, and so you get the type of relationship with the student where, like, there was one where he, like, threw something. I wish I could remember what it was. I think it might have been, like, his shoe or something, like, threw his shoe at me, and, like, in the most unprofessional way ever, I just was like, "Come on, man." It's like "I'm
You're
trying to
like a
teach you."
shoe?
Yeah, "I'm trying to teach you about the Civil War, man. I'm trying to tell you how that went down, and you're gonna hit me with the shoe?"
Oh my gosh. But it sounds like you guys actually did some stuff like out in the community. Was that
Yeah.
just like life skills stuff or would you guys do field trips?
So I went on loan to a different program because also like, I was told when I started working at the school I worked at that the, average time of staff retention was like a month. Like that's the long
Yeah.
like that's as long as the average person worked there.
Oh, sweet.
And yeah, which is awesome, right? So, but dude, this is true. So my first day there, we had to go to training, and so I go to training, and I meet this other girl, and I'm nervous because I had substitute taught for a while, but like in sped classrooms or whatever. But you just don't know if you're going to have the patience. I was nervous I wouldn't have the patience for it, and I was like really scared about it. And there was another girl in this training, and she was like, oh, she's like, "I was born for this. It's like my best friend, she has autism," and like my cut and like was saying like, I'm born for this," and I was like freaking out, like, "I don't know if I'm gonna be here." And so we have this training on Monday, then you go in classroom Tuesday, back to training Wednesday, and then I went back to training Wednesday. I was like, "Oh, where's Marissa?" And they were like, "Oh, Marissa quit yesterday." Yeah, Marissa couldn't cut it. She could
Yeah.
That's what's
she
funny
couldn't
about,
hang.
like, a month average, and then you see somebody, they're like, "I've been here for 3 years." It's like, I mean, somebody's dragging this thing down.
Oh, yeah, dude. There's people
Mhm.
that were like that, and you would always hear, like, they felt like war stories where people would be like, "Yeah, there was one lady, she asked someone to watch the student she was with when she went to lunch, and she just never came back." Just people just left her like,
Oh
"I'm
my
done with this."
gosh.
Block the school's number because they didn't pay you enough to, like, really care about it if you didn't care about it, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense whatsoever. Like, you really had to be about that life. I'll say this, man, it's like I'll joke about it all the time. I felt like I had found a career that if comedy did not work out, it was the only thing I'd ever done where I was like, yeah, I was like kinda made to do this. Like this
Yeah.
was in my bag. It was in my and man, working with kids with autism will really help you with interpersonal comedian communication in a way that I was not prepared for. Like I am so good at dealing with hecklers and other comics, talking them off the ledge or whatever, because you have to be very intentional with your communication and you have to actually active listen. Because I had students that if you didn't really pay attention to them and they could tell you weren't paying attention, it was like they were gonna pop off for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't even remember what question you asked. I feel like I didn't even answer the damn question you asked me.
No, you did. No, you did. Some of the crazier things that happen. Well, and I think that's the thing that I find so interesting too is like when people think of special education teachers in particular, I think that like that woman who you met who's like, I just, I have a sibling
Yeah,
who's disabled and I'm just like these very sweet, gentle spirits is
yeah,
what people have in their head. Until you've actually met a special education teacher,
yeah,
they are tough as nails. Like there is no one who has seen more
yeah,
or experienced more, and then on top of it, have more paperwork than any other
Yeah.
teacher in the school, with all of the meetings and all the parent interactions that are required to happen several times a year
Yeah.
and all of that. It's completely different, I think, from what people would imagine. Like they're expecting like this very sweet, gentle person. But I don't feel like the sweet, gentle people a lot of times can hack it because it's
I think
hard.
they can work with babies.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Maybe
those
like the
people
itty
in
bitties.
the early intervention, the little ankle biters, they can work with the 2 and 3-year-olds because they can't get physically overwhelmed by
Yes.
the little goblins when they get to become
Yeah.
teenagers and stuff like that. Yeah, it was tough, man, because I just was like, I wanted to be the type of person that could do it, but having never really done it full time, I was just so nervous. Because I don't know, man, you read all the time about, like, teacher snaps, beats up student, and then, like, I was always like, "Man, that's terrible, that's awful," and then I taught at that school, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I mean, did anyone ever ask what the kid called him?"
But
They wanna 'cause it's not saying it's
well,
okay, but it's not like after working in that for 4 years, I was like, "Yeah, man, if I didn't have the patience for it, and I didn't have such a good support system of, like, we all looked out for each other, and we would had a really good system of, like, if you needed to get out of a situation because you could feel you were getting escalated, you would tag
yeah.
out, and people would get tagged in, tagged out constantly." But, like, you'll see someone where it's just, like, full on teacher fist fighting a child, and I used to be like, "Oh, that's crazy," and now I'm just like, "Yeah, that person, they snapped. Something
Yeah.
happened in that class, and they just were like, 'You're not gonna talk to me like that anymore.'"
Yeah. Well, and I think that people they don't understand how many days in a row that teacher probably had to
Yeah.
take a deep breath and go for a walk and swallow down that rage and
Yeah.
then deal with all the rest. Like, and again, not to say that like we are supporting that happening, but like people can break. Like there is
Yeah.
a limit to the human
W
mind and how
what I
much
like
someone can take.
what I like to say is there is never an excuse for it happening, but there is always an explanation. So,
But
there's never
yeah,
it's never an
like I
excuse. You gotta be bigger, you gotta be better than that. But it is nuts where you'll just watch the news, and I'm just like, "Well, that guy's life's over because
yeah.
he came into work and, on day 20 of the student disrespecting him, he couldn't take it anymore, man."
Yeah, and I feel the same way whenever I see a, like, news report about a teacher that, oh, they got caught because they were super drunk. Like, they were
Yeah.
so unbelievably drunk at school, and I'm like, "What are their classes like, though?"
Yeah.
Like, let's be
No, for
honest.
real, man. I mean, let's can we at least watch them in the class? We can't bring somebody in just to see if they can kinda do it drunk, maybe? Like, maybe
Like,
like,
maybe
maybe.
do
May
a field sobriety test, but for
yeah.
teaching.
Not
Just
drunk, but, like,
teaching
I
sob
don't know, man. It's like, I think different people have different blood alcohol content. Like, if Jerry had beers and I had beers, our level would be different.
Yeah,
You know?
that's true.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, this teacher has 4 beers, but they're, keeping it cool. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe
Right, maybe
they
it's
can handle it,
not
dude.
so bad. So you said that you noticed definitely some, like, crossover with
Yeah,
teaching special education and interacting in the comedy world.
yeah.
Can you say more about that? Like, where have you seen the most things where you're like, "Damn, this is just like when I was teaching special education?"
It's just comedians kinda spiral a lot, and there's a lot of, like, perseverating on the same thing or intrusive thoughts and just, like and I used to have a ton of students that would be like, "The problem isn't that something bad happened in the day, the problem is something bad happened, and then they could not quit thinking about it." And that
Mm,
happens with comedians a lot, where it's someone just like, "Oh, man, I bombed, I bombed, I bombed, I'm not gonna get to work here anymore," like, "Oh, it's the worst set ever." And then just learning how to communicate where it's just like, I'll be in a green room sometimes being like, "Oh, hey, Mark, how's it going, man?" And they'll tell me what's going on. I'm like, "Oh, dude, I get it, man. I'd be really frustrated if that happened to me too, man. That sucks, dude. That's really awful,
Oh,
man."
we
But like, how
talked
you're
do you
you're
about
just
one of Andrea's shows last week in New Orleans. She texted me the other day. She's like, she's doing push-ups. She's like, "It's never happened to me again." I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
Andrea, I don't think that's how you fix the problem."
it was
but you
so bad.
yeah, but you just gotta let people feel seen and heard, and I was like, "Yeah, man, that'd be terrible if that happened." I would feel that same way. It's like, "But you know what? Like, here's the reality of the situation, and so, like, what can we do now? Like, what's the next steps? Like, what's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario?" And just talking people through that. And not just comedians, but it's like, man, I found out that, like, most people aren't heard in their day-to-day life. And the difference is when individuals with autism, at least in the community I worked with, when they're not heard, they will let you know, and it's gonna be a problem. But, like, kinda
Yeah.
everybody enjoys feeling like, hey, like you're actually listening to me and like you're looking for solutions and you're being patient with me and stuff like that. So it's really helped my interpersonal communication just across the board because I was like a comm major in college and I was like, I don't know when I'm ever going to use this. And then I proceed to use it every day.
In every
every
facet of
in
your
every
life.
facet of my life, I am using it.
That's awesome. All right, so we are going to take a very quick break, guys, and we will be right back. Have you ever wondered what I would say if my mother and my administrators weren't watching every single thing I do on social media? Well, that's exactly what my stand up show is. And I'm going to be coming to a town near you super soon. You can get tickets at educatorandrea.com/tickets. Welcome back, teacher besties. So Winston, I want to dive in a little bit into what it was like doing Funny AF.
Yeah.
And I am so curious because you mentioned that like you spend a lot of time kind of talking comedians off the ledges, and which comedians I have learned are some of both the most insecure
Yeah.
and the least likely to let anything go humans
Yeah.
of all time. And that is like across skill level, I've noticed. I like like whether you are just starting out or you are like really, really phenomenal, the crash outs are
Unreal.
like unreal.
Unbelievable
And
crash outs, man.
my husband comes with me to go on the show weekends and stuff like that. And so he hangs out with myself and the other comics. And he is so sick of us
Yeah.
because he'll watch our sets and he's seen our sets so many times now that he's like, all right, I'm going to watch your show, and he'll be honest. Like if he's like the one I did a couple weeks ago, he's like, wasn't your best. It was the worst setup for comedy anyways. And he's like, you did the jokes the same way. They did not land the same way. um, and so he like is so sick of us. And so I
Yeah.
kind of want to hear with doing Funny AF where it's, not just the 20 to 500 people in your immediate audience are seeing you,
Yeah.
but it's, it's going to go out wider. Obviously, you guys didn't know what was going to get cut in the
Yeah.
non-live ones and all of that. But what was that like in the green room when you were doing Funny AF?
I mean, it was fun, man. Everyone, that's another thing where, like, usually when you watch these competition shows, there's a villain and there's somebody to hate. And we did not have that, man. Like, we were a very tight knit group. Like, I'm pretty good friends with, like, a lot of the people, even from the first few rounds. But, like, the top 10, we all became, I think, pretty close, especially the groups, like the ones of us that were from the East Coast or whatever, because I'd be seeing them in New York and on the road and stuff. And yeah, and we're all just pretty close, and you would just be in there, and everybody's kind of stressed out, and there is so much stuff that they cut, which I get it. You can't, you only have Lord knows how many episodes of an hour apiece, but they cut so much stuff that I was positive was going to be in the show, like
Yeah.
100% beyond a shadow of a doubt. And then I'm watching it, I'm like, I can't believe they didn't use that. And I think all of us kind of had that. Like we had moments that we thought were either to our story or were just really interesting, unique things that happened that did not get left in. And I was like, man, if they'd left this in, that would have been awesome.
Okay, so are you allowed to share what some of those things were?
I mean, why not? I ain't signed
Yeah.
nothing. They haven't got me sign anything. Yeah. So, well, there's like one where we were in the callback episode, like the one when we all went to LA and it was like 18 people being cut down to 10, and one person went up and they ran the light like an insane amount. Like they did like 15 minutes instead of 5, and they would not get
Oh.
off stage. And the other 17 people are in the green room, and it was just like, to me, it was the best moment of the show because I'm sitting in the green room and we're watching everyone on the TV, and I just like say out loud to the group while other people are having conversations. I was like, this feels like more than 5, right? Like everyone kind of feels this is more than 5, and then people start to look at the TV, and I think Steve Fury was next to me, and then Steve just goes, "Yeah, this feels like at least 6, right?" And then as we're doing it, people start watching, and the person keeps going into more bits, and then so we're all just like, "There's no way they're going to do another joke," and then they would be like, yeah, what else did y'all wanna talk about? And we're all like and everyone's, like, screaming in the green room. Every time they went to a new joke, we'd be like, "Oh my gosh," and there was one time where we're at, like, minute 14, they go into one more joke, and then, like, Usama's running around the room while we're all like, "Oh my god." And it wasn't mean-spirited, and then that person came back to the green room, and they were like, "I killed," right? And we were like, "You did 20 minutes." And they were like,
Did they have
"What?"
any idea?
No, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know because it counted down from 5, and then the way the clock work is it would go from 5 down to 0, and then when it went to 0, it would start giving you, like, -1 sec you know what I mean? It would be negative, and it would start counting up, and they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, when it went negative and counted up, I thought that was how much extra time I was getting."
Oh, no.
We were like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what it meant when it said -9 minutes." I thought I had
I thought
and
we
they're
were
it
doing
did
the
Oh.
battle royale. I thought
Yeah, I
That's
thought
right.
I
You
was ready to
just
do 4
keep
hours.
adding.
yeah, I thought that's what you're
Oh.
supposed to do, but that was such a good fun moment, and then they had, like, some sincere moments in there, like, I was, during the topical joke episode, which I think was episode 6 or whatever, we're in there, and I'm in the green room, and it had been, like, a really emotional thing and, like, a thing that I talked about a lot in interviews on the show, but they never used it as part of my stories. I talked about my dad passing away, and so they were asking me questions about my dad, and I'm, like, talking about him and what it means to be on the show and, like, how proud he would be, and, like, I'm getting really teary-eyed downstairs and emotional and stuff, and, like, they have these cameras, I'm telling you this shit is right in my face. Like, they are like, they could not like, while it's happening, I was like, "Man, just don't cry. You don't wanna cry." I was like, "But be
Right.
emotional." And I was just like, I don't remember what I said, but I remember afterwards, I was like, "Man, that's gonna be a really nice tribute to my dad." Like, I felt really good about it, and they didn't
Yeah.
include it at all. They just include me at the end. They're like, "Winston, you're going through." And then I go, "Oh my gosh." And it looks like I'm crying because 'cause I'm getting ready to go through. I'm crying because 'cause we've been talking about my dead dad for an hour and a half downstairs. But it was interesting how they cut some stuff to fit their narrative, but I will say they did such a good job, like, they made everybody look good on the show. There were some
Yeah.
people that they could have made look terrible if they had wanted
Yeah.
to, and they did not do it, and the few editing things that weren't actually the way that they were in real life, it was I saw why they did it, and it was just to kinda make a point or hammer home the emotional truth to, like, stuff happening. Like, there's a scene where, like, Usama, he automatically gets pushed through in the first round. Like, Kevin comes up and raises his hand, like, "You're automatically going through." And then it cuts to the green room, and there's all these different comics being like, "Oh, crap. Oh, whatever." And then so they cut to me, and I'm walking around, and I go, "F me," is what I say on the thing.
Yeah.
And then but here's the thing, I wasn't in the room when Usama was on stage. So I was in the showroom watching him perform. I wasn't in the green room. So that green room moment was from after my set when I felt bad about my set, and I walked through and I was talking about it. But they were trying to hammer home the emotional truth of what it feels like when someone gets an automatic pass, and now we know there's only 4 spots left to give out. So I wasn't mad about it because it didn't make me look bad. But, if
Yeah.
they'd made me look bad, I'd have said so. But stuff like that, they would change a couple things to get across, like, how it felt in the room. So I do totally get that. And I mean, the producers and the directors and the staff, it was truly incredible, and I would redo this show, 100 times out of 100. Like, I would go through that experience again for sure.
That is so cool. And I was actually, as I watched it and I saw the way that they were clipping certain sets and everything,
Yeah.
I did notice that because even great sets, you could clip it where it's like only the weakest parts of the set.
Yeah.
You could do that. Even people who kill sometimes have a moment where it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then the best comics know how to take that moment and make it even funnier because then you're
Yes.
like, oh, that didn't land, right?
Yeah.
But if you clipped it before they
You
made
could
it
make them look
better,
terrible.
you could make them look terrible. And I think it was really evident to me that the people who made it and the people who put like their heart and soul into creating the show, just loved comedy.
Yeah.
Like
Love
loved
comedy.
comedy and were like
It
trying to give
Yeah.
opportunities to all these
They
comics.
they could have made this a hit piece on comedians. They could have made
Yeah.
this like, "Oh, trash TV," and they did not. They were really trying to help people. The Bill Dixon, who's one of the executive producers and, like, I think either co-creators or directors on the show, he used to be a stand-up comedian, like Kevin Hart. is still a stand-up comedian, but that dude loves comedy, and I think he actively really wanted everyone to succeed, and it was really awesome to be a part of that. Like, it was really cool. Super stressful, and the way they edited sets was interesting because it was like I had, some people got a lot more of their set shown, so I had really good sets every single time, but, like, they would only show, like, a minute of my set, or, like, a minute and a half, which is fine, but it was funny the stuff they chose to cut out because it was uh, I talked about teaching a lot more. I talked about, like, working with kids on the autism spectrum because that's the thing that comes up in my stand-up a lot. Like, I have, like, 5 or 6 things that continually reappear in my stand-up and stuff that I like to talk about, and man, they got me. They they cut one joke I had that was a pretty long, uh teaching joke about teaching at a school for autism and getting frustrated at people saying that vaccines cause autism, and there was, like, a long thing at the end that they cut out from it that is, like, a joke I'm really proud of, and I'm excited for people that come to see me, on the road are gonna get to see, like, the full joke, but there was stuff that I got taken out, and I was like, "Ah, they might have taken that out because it might have been a little too political."
Piss people off.
Yeah, I might piss a few people off if I was talking about RFK Jr. and vaccines and how they don't cause autism. I could see where people might have had their fill on that. So
Yeah. So something I kept thinking about because you guys, I mean, all I've before the show, there were several comics who I'd been following for a while online. Some of whom made it out to the final group and everything. But what I kept thinking about while you guys were doing this is you guys were telling joke after joke after joke.
yeah,
I don't know how much time and how many of your jokes you guys used in the process of this, but I'm like,
yeah,
and then the gift and this wonderful opportunity to do an hour, I'm like, a lot of comics would have
yeah,
just burned 20 minutes maybe
yeah,
of what they would want to be like, because you guys are obviously trying to use your best stuff
yeah,
because you want to move on and you want to win. But then that means are they gonna use it in your
yeah. I think because I thought about that because I was doing the math in my head, right? And so if I made it to the semifinals, and in the semifinals, what they aired 5 full minutes from the semifinals. They aired 3 minutes of me on the topicals, that's 8 minutes of jokes. The roast doesn't count because that's not, you know what I mean, you're not your act or anything like that. And then another 3 or 4 minutes. So I only ended up burning about 12 minutes of material. But
Okay.
if you made it but someone like Usama and Caitlin, where they showed more of their sets in different rounds, is they ended up burning, like, almost a half an hour or, like,
Yeah.
20, 22 minutes or whatever. But, I mean, I would really be surprised if they wouldn't let you do those jokes again in the special. Like,
Yeah.
I kinda took it as all the jokes of mine that they used was the shortest version of those jokes. So, like, in the first round, I have a joke about having 5 exes who are now trans
Mhm.
men, um, and, but it's a minute joke on that show. If you come see me live and I do the full version, that's a 10-minute joke. So, it's
Yeah.
a thing where, I think a lot of comics, like, that's why the 5-minute sets I'm really proud that I made top 6 because I feel like this type of show doesn't really showcase me at my strengths, which is, like, most of my jokes are really long. There are these big setups and these buildups with a bunch of jokes and stuff in between. But the positive of that was like, oh, I used 12 minutes of jokes, but if they let me reuse them, those jokes are so much bigger and so much better. So I would like to think they would let people reuse some stuff, or it might be the type of thing where it's like, all right, now you have a year and we're going to drop your special the same time we drop the next season of the show. Like, that was
Yeah.
the only thing that I could think of timing wise, because there's no way they're going to, if they do a quick turnaround on that, that's psychotic. Because I,
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how that would work. But
Did you have to do a new set for every round, or could you, like, mix and match and they just cut stuff you
no,
ran
so you
at a
so you
different
you
place?
ha- you had to do new stuff every round until you get to the semifinal where I was, and I was told you can use stuff that they did not air. So everything I did in the semifinal was stuff that I had done partly in some of the other rounds that had not aired yet.
Gotcha.
And I think a lot of people kinda did that. So when you watch the semifinal sets, it's a lot of some people have new stuff, like, I had a few new jokes in there, but most of it was like, "Oh, this is stuff that we did
Yeah.
earlier that got cut and we were allowed to keep." I think they kinda did that because I think they did understand how they were, like, I mean, some people on that show, just from the nature of how long they've been doing it, from the original 44, it's like if they'd have made it to the finals, it's like, you know, they might just have a half an hour, which is
Yeah.
okay to have. It's not a,
Yeah.
it's not it's a statement on like, I've been doing it 11 years, and so I would have more than someone that's been doing it 2 or 3 that were in the first few rounds type of thing. So,
Yeah. So who, like, obviously you guys got to perform in front of some comedy legends.
yeah.
Who was one of your favorite people to perform to that you were just like, wow, that was incredible?
Yeah, it's really nuts because of the people on it, they were all people that I have like an incredible amount of respect for and think are amazing at what they do. And they are legends, but they weren't all necessarily people that like spoke to me when I was younger, if that makes any sense.
Got
Where
it.
it's like,
Yeah.
I think Chelsea Handler is a genius. I think she's helped so many comics careers and stuff, and I have a lot of respect for her. But like when her show was on Chelsea Lately, I was like a little too young to watch it, and so by the
Mhm.
time it left, so like I know her in the annals of like she's an OG. We're gonna give her the respect she wants. So like having her say that I was her favorite and stuff, it like I was looking at more of her stuff and I had seen some of her stand up and I was like, oh, this is a huge compliment. Like Keegan Michael Key is great. I mean, like I loved Key and Peele.
Yeah.
I mean, like Kevin, of course, has been in countless movies that I've loved, and I saw him when I was in college. It was really cool to see him live. Like, if I had to pick one that was like, oh, the person whose stand up I had listened to the most, is it was like Kumail because
Mm.
Kumail Nanjiani has an album called Beta Male that came out, I think, around the time I started doing stand up or a little bit before that. And it's a really, really, really amazing album. And so that's kind of like I used to listen to comedy albums all the time. So, and he's the only one that I remember having like, oh, this album was really, something that I love. So I think I lucked out in that like I had a great deal of respect for all these people. But like, when I was a kid, I was purely listening to clean comedy because I was raised super religious. So it's like, I would have been, I was trying to think of who I could be starstruck by. And it would be someone like, I don't know, be someone like Sinbad. You know what I mean? Like Sinbad
Yeah.
could make me starstruck because he's who I
Yeah.
listened to the most, as a child or like that level. And then like Chris
Yeah.
Rock, he's another guy that was like huge name. It's
Yeah.
crazy to be in a room performing for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think doing stand up so long, the starstruck quality of it, like, doesn't affect me anymore. Like, because it is
Yeah.
a thing where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I respect all these people. They're so damn amazing, but not like, I think if Conan O'Brien had been there, I probably would have been like, well, this is insane that this person,
Yeah.
Right.
like when I think of the like Chappelle would have been like an insane one. Like we're just like, oh my gosh, being from, living in DC and him being like a DC guy. But yeah, man, I feel very lucky that I got to perform for all those legends, and the fact that they all liked me was pretty crazy.
When you were standing up there, could you actually see them when you were
Yes.
performing? Because a lot of times,
Yes.
for a lot of people who don't know, when you're up on stage, you can usually see like the first row, maybe a couple other people. But it looked like you
Oh,
guys
they
were actually
were
like, were they
were
lit up?
well lit.
Okay.
Cameras on them, well lit. You had to try to not look at them. And then every
Gotcha.
episode, it felt like they were moving them closer and closer to the stage. Like, it was kind of insane. But yeah, you could for
Yeah.
sure see them when you were on stage. And you had to
Okay.
actively not look at them. And there was like when I was in the first round, I was trying so hard not to look at Keegan and Kevin. And then when I did
Yeah.
the callbacks, generally they were like stage right, like off to the right where you could look straight ahead. At the callbacks, they were dead center in the middle of the room. And
Yeah.
but it was helpful in that moment because that was the round I was probably the most nervous in. And to watch all of them laugh at my joke at once, and I saw Chelsea lean over to Kumail and say something, and I was like, oh man, I said I've got this in the bag. And
Yeah.
it was really
Yeah.
confidence boosting, man. Like, because that's
I
the thing is
bet.
we didn't know what they said about us until the show came down. Like, I didn't see any of that stuff of them saying it. And so I'm getting texts from people being like, Chelsea Handler said you were her favorite. Kumail said you were funny. Keegan and Kevin said you were an OG, an original. Nobody's like you. And I was like, what? And I went back and watched it and I was like, oh shit, this is pretty cool.
Awesome.
After the show ended, like immediately after, I mean, we all do stand up. I know you're on like that stand up section of threads, and everyone had opinions. How were you handling that since you were kind of
Yeah,
a part of this thing? So many people are talking about and have these hard opinions on.
Well, I'm mentally ill, so I was in threads, like, I was responding to people directly, but not in a mean way. It was people because when the semifinal came out, there was a lot of people being like, "Oh, it looks like everyone's bombing. It looks like everyone's bombing on the semifinals," but it's because the audience wasn't mic'd, and so I was responding to people being like, "Hey, if you didn't like the jokes, I can't change your opinion on liking the jokes, but I can tell you I killed." Like, it was we were
Yeah.
all in the room killing. I got a standing ovation in the semifinal round, and I think after me and Olivia's set, once they got to Osama, they had kind of figured it out and they had boosted the laughs in the audience and stuff. And so the experience was better. And I think for the finale, it was better too. But it was just me responding to people being like, "Hey, I don't know what to tell you, man. You could not like my comedy or whatever." I was like, but I'm not a liar. You know what I mean? I'm like, if I
Right.
bombed, I would tell you I bombed. But I went first with no host after Kevin and Chris did their little thing up there. And I went up and I had a hot set where it was like, I got a standing ovation. People are yelling. Kevin said positive stuff. I think I'm one of the few people Chris Rock didn't say a mean thing to. Like, I think he was just mean to everybody else. He didn't say mean to me. So that was kind of the main thing. And then I've tried not to really look at it. And then because I'm looking at it like this is I could view this as like this is the pinnacle, like this could the most that I'm going to do. I really, with to not sound delusional, I do think this is kind of just the beginning for my career because we're doing this nationwide tour and stuff, and I'm selling tickets pretty good in a lot of cities. Some not as well as others, but I mean the ticket sales I got them back today. We're doing really good. I'm like really excited about it. And I really think that people coming to see me live, like if you kind of liked me in the show, like even if you just thought I was okay in the show, you're going to like really, really, really like me when you see the full hour. So I was kind of been on there responding to people and just, being honest with them and like, I don't know, if people don't like my comedy, it's fine. But I think it's less people didn't like my comedy and it's more they just, they didn't just if there's not a laugh track, some people don't know, when something's funny, which is I'm okay with that.
And a lot of the people posting it, it's like the clout they have is them talking about you. Like it's
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man.
open micers,
For
stuff like that.
sure.
They're running their mouth, and people who want that because for all of you, no matter whether uh you advanced or not, like that's gonna do good for all of
Yeah.
your careers.
Well, it's
Like
just yeah, it's for real. And it's so funny when I would read like when it's a regular person writing it, like that's not a comic, it's whatever. When I would see like a newer comic saying something negative about me or something else, my brain immediately goes to like, all right, well, like, I'm gonna if you would be lucky to work with me. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah.
even know. And I'm also someone that's just like I am generally really modest, but when push comes to shove, when I have to be honest about it, it's just like, hey man, it's like I work the Comedy Cellar in New York. I get to open for people like I've opened for Derek Stroop. I've gotten to open for, Michael Che before, Mark Normand, all these people. It's like none of the open micers that are saying negative stuff, if we're going to be real, you you couldn't follow me on my worst day type of thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm a modest person, but I am also like I have a lot of I'm confident. So it's like it doesn't affect my self-esteem to see it. I just think it's delusional and doesn't make sense. And I think it's bad business, man. You will never catch my ass on social media or in any podcast or any public thing. You can go to any podcast I've ever done. I have never said a negative thing about another stand-up comedian because you never
Yeah.
know who's going to take you on the road. You never know who's going to like your comedy. You never know, like, if you're mean to people on the way up, they're going to be awful to you on the way down. And I think it
Yep.
costs absolutely nothing to just be kind and understanding. And I don't know, man. I remember when comedy was like a brotherhood, like we're all in it together. Like we can
yeah,
talk trash to each other about what's going on, but it's like if somebody comes in and tries to talk shit about the fraternity, it's like, hey, brother, you're not allowed to talk about my friends like that. And I feel like that's kind of gone a little bit, which is a bummer.
it was a reflection point for me because I wasn't even posting anything. And it had me thinking about, well, I made this comment to my friend. I was like, I'm who am I? You know, and
Yeah.
it's just like people were, yeah, like
Yeah. Some people are being
saying, oh,
really
they could
mean.
have
Other
found people
people,
who were less known. I'm like, what? They want you to go pull you out of a Dairy Queen lobby
yeah.
where you're doing an open
Yeah.
mic? Like, no, bro.
Also,
Like,
I couldn't it was so nuts because I saw so many people saying that where it's like, "Oh, all these people already had a ton of followers," and I was like, "I did not." I was like,
Yeah.
"Give me a damn break, brother. This has done wonders for my career." But yeah, I think at the end of the day, the thing people don't understand is it's like, you can be kind of well known in comedy, but this was to try to make you well known to everybody. And also at the end of the day, man, they're giving away a Netflix special. Who do you want someone to win it that's been doing comedy for 6 months? And
Yeah.
then the special comes out and you're like, "Oh, this is terrible." And it's like, "Yeah, it's terrible because they didn't use already pretty good comedians." I felt their casting did a pretty good job of like, there's people all the way from like 20 years down to like 2 or 3 years. They gave a nice wide range of stuff. And at the end of the day, man, if you watch the show, it doesn't matter. I've been telling people this all the time because I've had people message me like, "Hey, I didn't vote for you, but I thought you were really funny." Even if you just liked me and you didn't vote for me or like I wasn't your favorite, the beauty of comedy is you can still come see me live. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
you don't have to just like one person from the damn show. You can come
Yeah.
see you can come see all of us, man. Because I love and respect everybody on the show, man. It's kind of built a lifelong bond with some of these folks. And I feel very lucky and blessed to have been a part of it. And I'm excited to see, where it takes my career, man. I'm really hopefully not back to teaching.
Yeah, on that note, I know you do have a tour coming up. Before we let you
Yes.
go, can you share a little bit about where people can find you and what cities are coming up?
Absolutely, man. You can find me on all social media, man. It's just Winston Hodges on YouTube, but the main ones are at Winston H Comedy on Instagram and TikTok. I have a Facebook, Winston Hodges as well. I'm posting new tour dates, but what we got coming up, man, is like I'm gonna say all of them, even if this airs after we do it. But June 2nd, I'm in Nashville. That's gonna sell out, so you don't even have to worry about that one. June 3rd, we're in Atlanta. June 25th, I'm in Tempe, Arizona. July 8th is Richmond, Virginia. July 9th is Philadelphia, PA. July 16th is Chicago. July 22nd, Washington, D.C. August 14th, we're in Columbus, Ohio. And then October 8th, we're in Houston. And October 9th and 10th, we're in Dallas. But we keep adding dates all the time, and I've got them all. Join my email list. Join my fandom over there on Instagram, and I'll let you know when I'm in town. And yeah, man, if you got a bunch of teaching fans, I definitely talk about working with kids with autism a fair amount on the road, and try to. It's
Yeah.
fun, man. I've had a lot of people who have kids with autism or have autism come up, and they've been really appreciative of what I'm talking about and what I'm doing, man. So I'm excited to showcase a little more of that than they showed on the show.
All right, Winston, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you.
today. This was so fun. I appreciate you sharing all of the cool, both the teacher stories and also the comedy world and what it was like being on Funny AF and all of that. It was an honor.
Absolutely, man. I feel honored for being here, man. It was nice to meet y'all, and yeah, I'll gladly come back anytime. This was fun.
And friends, if you have thoughts about what we talked about today, you can contact us, Andrea at human-content.com, or you can contact me at Educator Andrea, and you can contact Gerry at
Comedy by GP on Instagram and TikTok.
and you can contact our whole Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok at Human Content Pods. If you want to catch the full video episodes, they are up every week on YouTube at Educator Andrea. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Andrea Forcum.
I'm Jerry Patoka.
And today we had with us Winston Hodges. Our executive producers are Andrea Forcum, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor is Andrew Sims. Our engineer is Jason Pertizo. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. To learn more about How to Survive the Classroom's program, disclaimer, and ethics policy and submission, verification, and licensing terms, you can go to podcasterandrea.com. How to Survive the Classroom is a Human Content production.
How to survive the classroom.
Thank you so much for watching. Want more of How to Survive the Classroom? You can watch more episodes right now. Just click on that little box over there. You see it? And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Okay, bye.